Hi, thanks for joining me for another Ask Susanna Friday live update. I'm sorry I'm a few minutes late. I'm trying to keep these at noon every Friday. Hope you have a good cup of coffee. I've got my Starbucks. Do you have something to sip on, something to eat? We're going to talk, I'm going to keep it short, but there are three ugly truths about the end of forbearances that are not being discussed, that I'm not hearing anybody talk about. And so in the spirit of full transparency, these are real life stories. I'm going to touch on the highlights today and invite you to join me on Clubhouse. It's open to everyone now. You can just download it with this Android or iPhone, and you'll see the club link below. Is simple, real stories. Excuse me, real estate, realstories.com will take you right to the club. So 10 o'clock tomorrow, we'll go more into this topic. Everyone's welcome, but there are some ugly truths and talk about real stories. Uh, three different individuals this week that I've talked to that are facing some ugly truths at the end of their forbearance that are not being covered in the news. So here we go. It's like the month you ever watch scary movies. We're coming up on Halloween, and I'm sorry, I have to keep a sense of humor no matter what I'm facing. This is a very serious topic. And if you are facing this, please, no, I'm not minimizing the situation at all. I've been in equally painful and confusing situations. My heart is with you. But let's get real about some of the ugly truths that are not being spoken about. One, and these are people that I'm working with and what they're facing. I was afraid of this. Let me just backpedal for a second. Once this goes live on YouTube, I'll put a link above to the video from last year, a year and a half ago, when false information was being portrayed by people who know better, who are leaders in real estate. And I'm going to call him out. Lawrence Yun has a PhD. He's a national economist. He's the economist for the National Association of Realtors. Clearly and openly misrepresented what a forbearance is. It scared me to the bone because I felt professionals would be following his guidance and conscientiously passing on misinformation. That's just the tip of the iceberg. There were other industry leaders in that video, from brokerages and from lending institutions, falsely reporting. And I don't have a PhD. You could just go to Wikipedia and you can see that the information they were reporting was incorrect because he was presenting it as if a forbearance automatically gets wrapped on the end of the loan. That one fact is absolutely incorrect. It has to be negotiated. However, what I'm finding is people I'm talking to now who are facing the end of their forbearance, very confused, very afraid. And one of the things that's confusing is that amount of money, even without them understanding, it seems like the lenders turned it into a deference, which is good because a balloon payment at the beginning of the forbearance period when people entered in, the terms were set to where that balloon payment would be due at the end of this period. A lot of lenders converted it to a deference, which is positive, and I think why there hasn't been this mad push towards foreclosures, one of the reasons. But what has happened is the balance on their mortgage is much higher than they thought. How did I've had people literally ask me, well, our balance, our mortgage was only 105,000, for instance, and now it's 100, much more than that, and unfortunately more than the market value of the property. That's because of the forbearance balance and fees and interest being added on to the balance due on the mortgage. So that's a very uncomfortable, ugly truth that can put people in a situation where the market values are higher, but also the loan balance may be higher. And so we're teetering. A couple of clients I'm working with, it may not need to be a short sale, but it's an ugly truth that they hadn't foreseen or understood. So that was my first point. The second one is time is limited. Having had all of these extensions with the moratorium on foreclosures, and it's created sort of a feeling of comfort, a feeling of peace, take the ease off. But that's not reality now. And what the reality is, coming into the end of the forbearance, we need to act quickly on solutions, options, and charting a path of action to resolve it and move forward, whatever the case might be in your situation. So just with that time is limited ties me to the next point. while we have been sort of pulled back and a little bit relaxed, the banks have been, the lending institutions, very aggressively moving forward, tracking these future defaults. Um, and here I'm going to share a couple of things I've been learning, from my networking, talking to people on Wall Street and so on. The institutional investors are queued up. You may have seen some of the news about some of the hedge funds that are buying up residential properties. They're looking for distressed properties, and there's a lot of artificial intelligence involved now that wasn't in play in 2008. So when you're listening to people who will just simply say, oh, it's not 2008, there's no problem, beware, because it's not that simple. There's a lot of movement behind the scenes with institutional investors talking to the institutions that hold the mortgages and working out backroom deals. And they may have their eyes on your property if they're perceiving a good value, a good equity gain, or a good neighborhood. They have all this artificial intelligence to target individual areas and properties as prime acquisitions. So, I feel like a guerrilla fighter on the streets, helping one family at a time. Don't be dismayed. We can fight back against this move from Wall Street. As long as the deed is still in your name, we have options, but time is of the utmost essence. The banks have been moving aggressively forward with foreclosure plans, and there's a limit on the options to resolve your forbearance. Also, if you should need to do a short sale, the work that you've done in the forbearance, it can speed up your approval for a short sale. It can be the grease in the wheels that can move that forward. But again, the timing has to be right. If you wait too long, then it's a whole different process. It's not impossible, but it's much more painful, let's say, more complicated, and you have, much higher rate of success of resolving this when we act now. So those are the three ugly monsters, the truths that aren't being told. Again, number one, your balance may be much higher than what you think or what you had thought based on it being, the payments being deferred. Two, time is limited to take action. So please, call me if I'm not the person to help you. I have a negotiator who she's very, very helpful with people sorting out their options. My passion is here to help, not as a salesperson. If you need my expertise to sell or to work on a short sale, I would be honored to help you. But the very first thing is to find out options for you. And if you can stay in the house, beautiful. I'll be so happy. And three, please know that even though there's been this just because the national government, the federal government, excuse me, has had this moratorium on foreclosures does not mean that the financial institutions have been sitting back. They are aggressively moving forward with proactive strategies and action plans to acquire residential properties for hedge funds, for REITs. And that did happen in the shadow of 2008 mortgage crisis. It is happening now. Please join me tomorrow at 10 a.m. We'll go more in depth. There'll be different people popping in and out of the rooms, or you can book a time on my calendar. Let's chat privately, and just know I'm here to help. And please, please just don't wait. And if you're a realtor and you're working with clients, I'm happy to help and, assist you, help them, or find someone in your area that can help them. Look forward to speaking next time. Please keep your head up. Note that there are solutions and you're not alone. Take care.